up, guys? So right now what I'm doing is doing some drive tests. This is a mix of city driving, highway driving, and everything in between. And the primary purpose I'm doing that is just to calibrate a few shift points. We want to make sure each shift point feels great. We don't want any drops in power between light, medium, and full throttle. We want to be able to go from one gear to the next and have a perfected tune. One of the best things you can do to make a perfected tune is to actually road test the vehicle. If you're not road testing the vehicle, you won't get the proper tune that you want. While a dyno can definitely give you wide open throttle tuning, it can't really give you the street ability and the street feel that you need, the cold starts that you need. It takes time and effort to get a perfect tune, and every time I work on a vehicle, I'm looking for the perfection in that tune for the drivability of the vehicle. Of course, one thing that we should note, since this is an automatic transmission vehicle, when tuning a manual transmission vehicle, you don't exactly have these types of problems, so to speak, as far as getting shift points perfect, getting the strategy exactly how you want it. Normally on a manual vehicle, you're going to end up needing to deal more with the air-fuel ratios, transient fueling, decel fueling, spark, and timing tables. And you can do more of that on a dyno, but still, for the things like the cold start, the warm starts, for calibrations for different injectors, you definitely want to do a bit of that on the highway and on the open roads of Mexico. At the end of the day, we just have to make sure that everything works out and everything's proper. You can see that's what I've got there. Got the perfect kick downs. Bam, get down into the gear, grab a gear, and she does what she needs to do. Get on the highway. Perfect. We just want to see that every certain amount of AD counts on the throttle position correlate to what we want to do when we want a certain amount of acceleration, and this will vary different from vehicle to vehicle. I use a base calibration for any 4R70W and any 4R75W or E transmission when it comes to shift points, but it's also going to be dependent on the gear ratio, the size of the vehicle, and the power of the vehicle, because you don't always have the same shift points for every single vehicle, and that's something that needs to be understood completely when making a tune on a vehicle that you want to have that perfect feel. We hear a lot of things out there about how this vehicle, okay, it doesn't idle, it doesn't do this and that because race car, but it's just a full boat-ons 600 horsepower with a very mild cam vehicle. Hardly idles, stalls, unacceptable. We don't need those types of things when we're doing this, any vehicle or a calibration. Wide open throttles always feel great. Sure, it can run 10s in a quarter mile, but it's their daily driver vehicle. And since it's their daily driver vehicle, that vehicle needs to drive on the highway at least close to OEM. And that is a very high standard I have for any vehicle. Of course, the more vehicle combinations that you program and the more part combinations you program, the easier it is to dial this in, I'll put it that way. The easier it is to dial everything in. So while we're dialing this vehicle in, this is the Marauder, of course. I'm just perfecting those tunes how they need to be, because these tunes will eventually be released to other people who do want or need a tune. So what's very important to check for when we're doing this is that perfection, and I save a file for each type of tune, for each part combination, so that we have some good base files to work on when we're doing someone else's vehicle and they have a combination similar to this one. Of course, this vehicle will be getting boost next, so not only will that require some changes and differences in the tune for the shift pressures, the shift firmness, the shift points, it will also require us to make a completely new profile for the different air fuel ratios and spark timing. So, not to ramble on into any of the intricacies of that, but one point we always want to make is that if you want a vehicle that's a daily driver vehicle, up to a certain extent, no matter how much power we're making, if we have the right parts combination and the tune file and calibration is how it needs to be, you will not have any issues with that vehicle. That vehicle will drive great on the highway. That vehicle will drive great in the city. When I turn the AC on, this vehicle will never, ever, ever stall. This vehicle's on E85 only at this point. While I can go to gasoline, I run all the vehicles on E85. When it's wintertime, this vehicle will start in the cold. Now, we're finishing the perfections for that on here. So, at the end of the day, the primary thing I want to stress here is any tunes that I make, any tunes that I write, are not wide open throttle only tunes. These tunes are seeking the perfection of driving that vehicle on a daily basis, even if it is a track only vehicle. If the combination of parts is correct and the vehicle is generally within or under 1,000 horsepower, it should drive great. There's no reason that that vehicle should not drive great. So with that said, man, I hope that this was an informative video, and I hope that I was able to give you a lot of good information about just the point in why we go through so much when we're tuning, and also something as a keepsake for whoever you go to tune your vehicle, to understand and make sure that you get a quality tune.